In a cyclotron, particle moves inside 2Ds in circular path. There are 2Ds, 1D it will move in circular path, and another D it will move in circular path with a bigger radius. So to find the kinetic energy of a particle moving in a cyclotron, see, this is the D in the cyclotron, one more D. First it will move like this, second one it will move with a bigger radius, third one, last one the maximum radius. So we call it the maximum radius, and the corresponding velocity is maximum velocity is at the periphery of the D. At the periphery of the D, the particle will have the maximum radius and maximum velocity. So now from the cyclotron we can see the centripetal force, the particle moving in circular path, when it is moving in circular path, it should have a centripetal force. The centripetal force is provided by the magnetic force on the charge. This already we have seen, magnetic force on the charge. So that is centripetal force is m velocity square divided by 3r, where r is equal to radius of circular path. Now v is equal to velocity of the particle, velocity of the particle moving in circular path, velocity of the particle. This is the centripetal force is equal to magnetic force is equal to Q into V into B into sine 90 degree. Why sine 90 degree? Because V is the velocity of the particle entering in the magnetic field, and the particle enters at right angle at 90 degree within the magnetic field. Therefore theta is the angle between particle. This particle is like this, the magnetic field will be like this. So this is a 90 degree. That's why the angle between V and B is equal to 90 degree. As it is, we have seen magnetic force is equal to Q into V cross B vector. So the angle between V vector sine 90 is equal to 1, or we can say this and this we can cancel. So velocity is equal to, what is the velocity of the particle? Velocity is equal to Q into B into R divided by M, and radius is equal to radius. What is the value of the radius? Radius is equal to mv by qb, where q is the, what is q? Q is equal to charge of the particle undergoing circular path, and B is the applied magnetic field which is at right angle to the particle entering inside the magnetic field. Therefore the radius, so velocity is this much and radius is this much. And now we can see how long the particle, what is the maximum radius of the particle? The maximum radius of the particle is the maximum, suppose this is a D, it can have up to the periphery only. This is the radius which we can call it as the maximum radius. Therefore we can say R naught is equal to maximum radius in D's of particle, and V naught is the corresponding velocity. So it means R naught, the particle moves in the circular path, again bigger circle, bigger radius. How long its radius keep on increasing? Its radius will keep increasing till it attains the radius of the periphery of the any one of the D's. So at that moment the R maximum we call it as R naught, and V max we call it as V naught. It is not U, it is V. U I because to differentiate, this is U and this is V. Therefore now we have to calculate what is the maximum kinetic energy obtained. The maximum kinetic energy obtained by the particle is when the particle is reaching at its, because when it is reaching at its periphery, particles moving like this at its peripheral, its radius is equal to R naught and its velocity is V naught, and kinetic energy will be kinetic energy maximum Y, because at maximum R and maximum V it reaches the maximum kinetic energy. So the expression for kinetic energy is in general expression half into m into v square. So kinetic energy maximum in the cyclotron is equal to a half into m into maximum velocity. Maximum velocity we can say half into m v naught. V is equal to v naught, that is q b r in place of r naught divided by m, and its whole square is equal to this m square, this get cancelled, half into q square b square r naught square divided by m, this is m square divided by m. Therefore maximum kinetic energy obtained by the particle inside the cyclotron. Inside the cyclotron is q square b square divided by 2m into r naught whole square, where r naught stands for the maximum value of the radius when the particle reaches its maximum radius inside the D's, inside any one of the D's. Biot-Savart law indicates that moving electrons with a velocity v produce a magnetic field B such that magnetic field is perpendicular to V, magnetic field is parallel to V, obeys inverse cube law. It is along the line joining electrons and the point of observation. See Biot-Savart law in vector form, dB or B is equal to integral dB is equal to integration of this one, which is equal to dB is equal to, I am writing in vector form, mu naught by 4 pi into I divided by r cube into dl vector cross producted with r vector. This is okay. This is a dipole in vector form, that is B vector. Okay, or we can write B vector is equal to, we can take mu naught by 4 pi outside into mu naught by outside, where what is the value of I? I is equal to charge divided by time. I is equal to charge divided, so charge divided by r cube into dl vector into r vector divided by charge into time. Since time is a scalar, what is this dl by l? See, displacement, distance by time is equal to velocity, because this is displacement, this is time. So is equal to mu naught by 4 pi into q by r cube dl by t we can take it as velocity vector into r vector. It means B vector is some scalar into velocity, because these are scalars. Velocity vector into r vector. It means what? This is a velocity vector, this is r vector, angle between them, and this v cross r. What is v cross r? V cross r is a vector which is perpendicular to the plane containing, in vector product we say this is v cross r vector which is equal to b vector. It means the cross product of two vectors is always perpendicular to the plane containing these two vectors. So this and this are lying in this plane, and this b vector is perpendicular to the vector v and r. Therefore, b vector is perpendicular to v vector. B vector is perpendicular because b vector is perpendicular to v vector, and b vector also perpendicular to r vector. First answer is correct. B vector and b vector perpendicular to v vector, and b vector perpendicular to r vector. So this answer is right. B vector parallel to v, this is not right. Obeys inverse cube law? No. It is along the line joining? No. This is the right answer if in the Biot-Savart law. Indicate that the moving electrons with velocity v produce a magnetic field B such that B vector, that is B vector, is perpendicular to V vector. Show that force that does no work must be a velocity dependent force. It means the work done is equal to 0 because that force that does no work, it means work done is equal to 0. See, what is the expression for if a force is applied on a body particle and it moves a distance of ds. Force is applied in this direction, displacement is in this direction. The work done is dot product of force and ds vector, because force and the displacement of the particle in along the direction of force. So this is work done, that is we can say F work done is equal to F into ds is equal to 0, or see work done we can write, so velocity can be written as rate of change of displacement, or displacement is equal to v into dt. So F, this becomes F dot product to the ds. So because displacement is a vector, this is F into v dot v dt is equal to 0, or F dot v is equal to 0 by dt is equal to 0. It means F force dot producted with the velocity is equal to 0. It means dot product of two vector is equal to 0 means we can say F v cos theta is equal to 0. If two vectors of dot product of two vectors are perpendicular, both the vectors will be perpendicular. It means F if it is in this direction, v will be in this direction, that is angle between them is 90 degree. It means F is equal to cos theta. In this condition we can say F cannot be equal to 0 and velocity cannot be equal to 0, that is cos theta is equal to 0 is equal to cos of 90, because if cos of 90 is equal to 0, cancelling, then theta is equal to 90 degree. That shows means what? What is the theta? Theta is the angle between force and velocity. So it means what? Show that the force does no work. Does no work means the force does no work must be a velocity dependent force, because see it is a velocity dependent because the angle between force and velocity is, because this is 90 degree, is 90 degree. The angle between velocity and force is 90 degree. It shows that the force is a velocity dependent force. The force is must be a velocity dependent force, because the angle between, certainly when it does no work, the angle between force and velocity is 90 degree. It means the force which does no work is a velocity dependent.